Well, let me tell you a story about why I'm here. I'm an ASU faculty member in the psychology department, and in the mid-early 2000s, in my office hours on the gentleman comes in, clerical collar, most unusual, and introduces himself as Reverend Michael Sorry, chaplain at North Village Baptist, formerly. And he said he wanted to talk about pastoral care and assessing the effectiveness of it. I said, well, that's interesting. I do field research on program evaluation, and that's a topic I know nothing about, but it sounds promising. So we started a series of meetings. I got a graduate student, and we did some measurement stuff. And over the years, that project is now going to be his dissertation, which he's working on. And he's a remarkable one. He's just astounding. Artist, writer, a wonderful person. So during the course of those meetings, I was finishing my book and reading over the content. It dawned on me that Niebuhr's serenity prayer encapsulated a lot what the hardcore research was saying. So I put it in the title. And he read the book and liked it and asked me to present it to the PCA group, which I did. This speech today is an expanded version of that. And that's the book. Before I get into the hardcore stuff, I want to tell you some stories. Two anecdotes. This is the first one. Some of you may know of him. He's a well-known high school teacher, Matt, in Mesa. He was in his backyard one day, and a neighborhood boy with a gun shot him in the back, the spleen actually. And they rushed him to the hospital and saved his life. Unfortunately, that act took out his immune system, so he got severely infected, and they rushed him to the hospital, where he was in intensive care for 3 weeks. And to save his life, they had to amputate his extremities. He got fitted with prostheses and resumed normal living, but he wasn't really satisfied. So he worked with local manufacturers, and they got some attachments so he could continue playing golf and ball and dance and be an activist for his type of disease and as a motivational speaker. Incredible guy. And there's a website, and it's a personal belief. Now, if you remember the Niebuhr prayer, that sounds suspiciously close to that prayer. So that's one story. We'll back up a bit. Notice the word resilience. That's the big revolution, as you well know, the big revolution in therapeutic sciences. The medical model, you're a sick person, we're going to help you. It's not been overturned by resilience model. You have growth, power in you, and you need to exercise it. Is a living example of that. Okay, well, I have another story. I have some screenshots. It could be Central and Camelback. That could be government offices. And if you look in the background, you see this man's neighborhood. What he's done is he's picked up what I presume is a matrix. If you continue watching, he puts it down and moves on. That picture tells you everything I want to know. I want to say about today. He's exercising. You might wonder what's going on in your mind. Sir, you can't possibly clean up. This is you're wasting your time. And I'm saying he's exercising all that he is. He's mastering his environment. Small, beautiful, but that's the most important thing I can say to them. Is people can exercise control and we can help them do it. So I'm through with anecdotes, and I want to talk about the science of mastery, which is coming up. And we're going to be dealing with experimental methods. And for you to understand the concepts I'm saying, we need to spend time on methods. That's just the way the game works. Okay, there's a serenity prayer. I know you're familiar with it. Serenity, courage, wisdom, wonderful term. We should achieve them, we should aspire to have them, and we're getting even define them. But the question is how? How do you do that? How do you get those things? Well, it depends on how you phrase it. Psychologists have dealt with that issue. And I'm going to cover 3 topics today. It will take most of the day. I'll tweak you at the very end. I'm not really an outrageous guy. The things I say often are. Okay. Do you perceive that what you have will work in getting what you want? That's the question. So we need to investigate that whole relationship. And we have a concept of all control. There are many definitions in my field. The last one is there's about 100 ways of looking at it. Locus of control, I won't get into the specifics. But it means you would perceive the control be located inside you. You're agency, you have agency on your environment. Mastery is mentored. Personal causation, that's actually a technical term. That's opposed to chance. If you don't see yourself as the cause, then you think chance runs your life. Or maybe you think powerful other people run your life. There are possibilities. Self-efficacy. Do you think you're efficacious in your work? And you see a connection between the means and the ends you want to achieve. My book is on that topic. Now, people respond to items on that scale by answering the following question. How often have you been feeling that in the past month? 1 to 5. So you get an intensity score, and it gives us numbers. It's the science of psychometrics. You've heard of the IQ scale, the Myers-Briggs, or the personal mastery scale. Same logic, same model, same story. And each of these, it turns out, is an area of research. There are thousands of studies on this topic. So there are studies on optimism and control, anxiety, depression. They have their own scales, they have their own experimental manipulations. But that's, so if you score high, you are this kind of person. If you score low, you're that kind of person. Very different syndrome. Very different. Anytime I go too fast for this stuff, raise your hand. Because there's a ton of stuff standing behind us here. Okay. We've done some statistical analysis of the response patterns on that scale. And we find one subset of items clustered together, pretty face valid stuff, and 2 that would be exact opposite. Now, it turns out we have 2 scores per person. you can correlate the scores with each other, and you find a slightly negative correlation. They're not opposite. You guys can't say they're bilobal. So people score high on both. And so if you're seeing these as relevant to your own life, you don't have to be one or the other. And you probably say it depends. Well, that's where science comes from. That's where science comes from. You're worried about it. Okay. Now let's talk about some distinctions. The top two. Give me the top two first. So as I read those, when I thought about the need for a prayer, that's exactly where I heard it fit. So those are sentences from the scale. Okay, but that isn't always control. And there's many forms, as well as I thought your own to your group. Predictive control is knowing what's going to happen. We have calendars, we have schedules, we have clocks. You need to know when things are going to be happening. And you get upset if you don't. So being able to predict when something's going to happen. There's have to be a major pain in mental health. We give you an experiment, which is a button to press. If you press the button and it doesn't work, you're very upset. You violated your predictions. Interpretive control. You read the morning newspaper, you're learning out what's going on. Concept of meaning making is actually important in clinical practice. People need to generate some understanding of their own. If you look at paramecia under a microscope, you see trying to figure out what the environment is. Calcium here, sodium there. So it's the universal drive. Suppose it's steaming motivation. And finally, illusory control. Think you have control when you don't. One of the silliest things you'll see, someone falling on a dice, gambler, can't have any control. The story of the flea and the elephant. Flea is on the back of an elephant, walking over a swinging bridge. They said, well, we really made that, didn't we? Okay, so any questions? There's a lot of concepts coming here. I'm trying to make them real for the world we live in. Okay, now, please take your hand out and go to number one. Focus on health. Since this is a health symposium, that's the one I picked. Please read over the items. You'll notice at the far right is an I or an E, internal or external. No, just see what it is. I'm just educating you on how we do it. You can see the I or E coming through the wording. Well, if you look at the screen, people who score low, we do not think they're in control, have these other symptoms that go along with it. Once again, these are separate studies, conclusion summary data of a lot of studies. People that don't think they can control their health don't take self-care, not optimistic, they're in worse health. Okay. Okay, the next one is the concept of control, and that applied to alcoholism. Or drinking related locus of control. This is actually developed at a local VA. Those are not healthy conditions to be in. And I think people who are running alcohol treatment programs need to think about their clients having these mental beliefs. In many ways, to put control outside in their environment is not a healthy thing to do. Okay. Certainly relevant to this group. Now, there's many, many, many studies of religion, spirituality, belief in God, a lot of stuff. I picked in one domain, that is how God relates to your sense of health. And the data, and I gave you two studies on that. The data are clear. Well, the data are consistent in saying that people who have greater faith in God for their health are worse off. Stand back for a philosophical statement. Everything I've said is done by Western scientists, which puts faith in the individual as the source of causation. That's not the case for Asia. We are an individualist society. Eastern cultures are collectivists. The individual doesn't stand out. They see themselves as part of a collective, very different from us. So everything I'm saying today, I'm labeling is hideously biased by Western scientists on Western subjects with Western concepts. If you want to go to the other side, you get cross-cultural psychology degrees and sociology, anthropology, everything else. Okay, so I thought giving you a giant course in case you want to debate that. Let's debate it. Okay, now, everything I've said, we put up in the head the person, as I just said, but you can take the concept of events and see the world outside in those terms. For instance, we need to know what we're going to say about events for this to make sense. But that's topic of my study, presentation. So if we're going to talk about events, we can talk about big ones, like getting shot in the back, or being in a tsunami, or break a shoelace, stub your toe, or have a nice sweet drink. But the big one is controllability. I have a lot of studies on this. Are we okay so far? I mean, if I speed up too much. We go through a series of studies now. This is a study done on a large office complex, in a big open room, under aisles, long cubicles. So the experimenter has a tray of water tickets, real water tickets, and goes down and hands them out, or asks the person pick one. So the person hands up a water ticket that they got by themselves, or was given to them. What was the controllability there? In the self or its external source. In the left column, the people that had no choice said they'd sell the ticket back for on average $1.96. The people who picked it up said they're going to charge $8 on the average. So they said $10 basically. In the other column, the people who chose it almost didn't want to sell it back. They valued it greatly. Like what difference? We're dealing with control beliefs here. This will take a while to talk about. This is a child that's here seven, but they've set aside a playroom with open marking pads and measuring up. And put them out for the kids to play with. The kids don't know if they're being observed. How much they play with it. And so they do that. Play with it all they want. They're really given a set period of time. Now, for one group of children, before they get into it, the experimenter says, well, we have a gentleman coming to the nursery school today. Would you like to draw? Would you like to draw pictures? If you do that, we'll give you a gold star. Certificate. We'll put it up on the billboard, and you'll be a good player. And the kids say, yeah. So they do it. The other group of children play with it without a word being said. And then at the end of the play period, the experiment says, well, you were a good player. We're going to give you a gold star. And so you're a good player. And so the difference between the two groups is one time, just time. In the left column, do that one-way mirror. The observers had stopwatches. And when the magic marker is on the pad, that counts as play. The children who played, in order to get the award, spent 9% of their spare time playing. The kid who got the award without any playing, without any notion of award, played more than twice as much. The drawings are retained and stored by graduate students. And you'll see the kids who played to get the award did a poor job of it. That's called undermining. The intrinsic one player got undermined by the notion, in order to play, I have to do this thing. So it's a question of motivation. It's actually a question of causation of motivation. What leads me to make my behavior? For me, playing and getting a reward versus I want to get the reward. Well, when they came back the next day, there was no reward mentioned. So all the contamination occurred in the first period. So let's look at American society, or how we've undermined intrinsic behavior. People will do something in order to get gold star. trophy and medal. I haven't been able to confirm that, but I did read Art Spitz, a famous swimmer who won 7 gold medals, didn't get into a swimming pool for 2 years. I was open. People play to compete, to beat the enemy. That's the U of A. I'd rather have a coach say, I want to play my best game today, not that I want to beat somebody else. Your motivation is just lost if you're trying to hurt somebody else rather than be the best you. Hey, I envy you. We work for a living, right? That's a bad condition. If you don't get the adequate pay, then you don't want to work. I'm saying in China, if a school is closed for some reason, children will resort. They want to get to school. They want to be at school. Is that the case anywhere? No, I don't think so. When people do things for paying public attention, not for being the best person, but for looking the best. Surveillance, if the workers have a camera over their head, they work less well. And deadlines. I'm doing this to get the job done, not because I want to. Anyone like to speculate on how you've been undermined? Your turn. Have we been undermined? What do you do that's intrinsically fun? What do you do because you have to? The reward structure is wrong. Ask me, I don't sound like a radical, but the reward structure is wrong. Okay. College kids, I believe, come into a laboratory and given stacks of paper with anagrams, diagrams, Western puzzles to play with, and then work through the problems. What's a break? And go back to round 2. But in this case, the papers they've been given don't have the correct answer. There's no way it can work. And like pre-warning, they thought there's going to be some noise in the room. Oh, wow, an irritating blast, the noise goes on. For half of the subjects, the experiment says, well, there's a button on the table. If you don't want to move on, press the button. Okay, solve your problem. So they go back to problem solving. 2 sets of unsolved problems, 1 and 2. People that don't have a button that have to endure the noise only solve 4 of them before they quit. The kids that have the button go 5 times as many. They keep trying and trying and trying. And the same thing with the second problem. Not one person used the button. They had it, but they didn't use it. So if you have the sense that you have control over this frustrating problem and this irritating noise, you'll keep at it and keep it. Control is in you. Okay, this is my colleague and I, an attorney, and down number 4. We've taken some of those event properties, controllability and valence, and grouped life in the 4th category. And these are very common daily events. They're not disasters. They're not earthquakes. Your college kids remember. I don't know why she's trying to make him meet external standards. Why? Why? That's a good story. Well, there's some data. Now, I hesitate to show you this because there's a lot of stuff there. But let's at least talk about it. And there's some important points here. Those who have more advanced or positive internal causation have a better lifestyle. These are measures of dependent variables. Positive rates of external cause don't have any connection with your quality of life. There's a whole body of literature, even economists on it, on lottery winners. Anybody know the literature? Lottery winners are not happy. They have fewer bills. They have fewer anxieties about finances. They're not happy. You dump money on somebody, they have no control, no causation, and it shows up saving no effect. So why do people get in the lottery? No. And in negative events, this is really important. Causation doesn't matter. They have a broadband negative effect, no matter what. So the bottom line, if you're into therapy, treatment is to give people more self-trust, raise behavior. Now, everything we've said is between the person and the world. But in that role are other people. You mentioned this one. The bishop's comment. The connection with other people is critical to all of us. So let's talk about really number 5. Sorry, Mr. Rheumatoid arthritis a while ago. We studied it in terms of social connection. We had both husbands and wives respond to the items we're seeing. But it's unusual. The husband is describing his behavior to her. We don't have full report, but we do. And for this point, he's reporting on how much he encouraged her to be other reliant, O-R-E, or self-reliant, S-R-E. And using no source of what he said related against her reports what her ill status. So, tricky study. This took us a while. Okay. This is another slide I did not show. We'll just talk about this. To encourage someone to be on their own 2 feet, was shown to work if they were younger people, not older, and in healthier conditions. Other reliance encouraging to be dependent on the husband, let me do it for you. For people who are externals, that has positive effect. We're internals. We have 2 variables working against each other. But the bottom one is, I think, the most important. So if you're in the caregiving situation, I think the general model, certainly in Western culture, we want to get you on your own 2 feet. Well, for internals, that's fine. But for people or an external. They don't want to be parent. They want to be forced onto themselves. Anybody want to delve into this? Is it too much data? Just say yes. There's a lot. We can talk about it. Okay. How do you deal with volunteers? They're there not because they have to be, because they want to be. Self-chosen, under their control. That's the key to it, I think. So you're feeling good about yourself, but you know what they're doing with it. So we're tied to the methodology of the study. Questionnaire, and that here are the daily tasks. Have you been doing this? Have you been receiving this? And so we have two people. And then people like that, it's a mortality. So just so we can't go beyond the data. I know what you're saying. And for the final topic, Now, this is a study done in my graduate student secretary. We got therapeutic communities in Arizona, in Phoenix, Tucson, and LA to give us access to their residents. And we asked the staffs of those places to rate their clients on degree of cure, how much better they're getting. Some people are winning in treatment, and some people are failing. Scored by us. They don't know what's going on. But then we asked them a series of questions about how the outcome they had. What was their outcome? And we categorize them in 4 ways, which you know by now. Number 1, I'm succeeding because I feel better about myself. Or, well, I'm doing this for my wife, for my child. External cause, you're successful, but it's not very you in your mind. When there are people who are failing, which is probably most common, fell off the wagon. Okay, that's our categorization of what they said. So where's the causation of your behavior and treatment? Either you or something about your environment, your spouse, your family. To read it sideways, if you're internal for failure, then you're not going to be successful. Okay, these are dance, I understand that. I'm trying to get the height. Okay, now across the top, everything we've been dealing with is small, little events, which can wear you out. Now we're dealing with the big ones, getting shot in the back, drinking tsunami. You can't do that in an experimental setting, but we can survey and ask them if they've been experienced. So we go to number 6. Sorry for the print size. Try to get it onto 1 page. It's the famous Holmes and Ray scale. That's a type of COL, HOL, and Ray. The way you know if something is a daily event or major event is you ask the person how much of your life is disrupted, how much effort does it take to get back on track. You can see these are big ones. We did that in town by surveying people who, by surveying, at least they had a good physical disability, and there they are. Compare them to people who lost a spouse in the same period of time. And each of these 2 groups has a comparison group for groups of participants here. So does the tsunami have an effect on your sense of control? It may have an effect on your income, your health, and everything else. But we're looking at control. Okay, now with disabled people, there's their score on control, 2.9. They're fatal. If that score doesn't make sense to you, people who are recently disabled suffer loss of control compared to not, and their fatalism was higher. So it does have effects on control, control we're talking about. Now, we're ironically enough, this three statistics graph, that's a completely wash out. No differences anymore. So we conclude from that bereavement doesn't have any effect on the things I've been talking about. In a sense, there's no reason why it should, not you. So one side does not move at all. If this gets irritating anymore. Yes. These are the variable. This is education level. This is another study. Yeah, I said, you want to get a grant understood. We'll get a sample and we're going to put it in. I'm going to find out. That's what I've been doing for the last 4 years of getting grants or not. And so we're going to caution bereavement in the mastery sense. Bereavement is not a fact. That was a discovery. Okay. Now I figured by now you're being exhausted, but out the door. So we thought maybe you would like to participate. Let's try it out. I'm going to insist that you talk. On the left are threats, what I call MLEs. And what can we do for somebody that has that MLE? Well, I would say, reading across, that health and nutrition. This is blatantly obvious. Unemployed, get education and training. Supports against threats. Indeed. Oh, we have a guy. Oh, control theory. That's true. Anybody want to help me out? I did go to sleep. I wondered about it. I did. Oh. But you know what you're trying to do. That's it. So it is. I have no recommendations. I can tell you, these are the goals. They're holy, far more. I haven't really called them too. That's totally made up by me. Sitting on a Saturday night. Yeah. About our career. And he said, well, I've been giving so really go. And every day, we're not trying to lie. But it's hard.
Here's one you should get regardless of how high the mountain is and how low the valley is. You have to see normal expectations. And if you really work and put the work in, whether it's done with the
I came from a case management background, moved out of and often people like a pre-process helpful for them and get them very quantifiable. Actions that are easy to identify, that again very quantifiable, and you feel like I'm using some weight. So I'm going to go on a walk. Monday night, a very quantifiable thing. I would have something to do with that was something that we could talk about. But then I would have trouble with it. Something like something you can do that you look at the next day,
I don't live outside these cities. But they might be very day. I can't be tomorrow, then I'll get over that. Because oftentimes you can say, oh, no, ahead of us, we want to stay there. Remember, we can be with us to the degree that we can see our expectations. But just work with them. Sometimes we bring all our tomorrow into our today, which creates worry, stress. And so, for me, I stick with my today. You bring all your yeah.
take that visualization into the window. No, what I mean is like what I think today is developing Christian stay on the same note. What I think today is what I think today what I'm saying is like how does God affect reaching the goal?
I think that all of the field is late, I think we're going to be better. All the things to be better.
I appreciate sympathy. I do, among other things. I got a third of a speech to give. Okay, so I'm not going to get into the final part. Given these concepts, what can you do to enhance control or enhance knowing you don't have? What kind of intervention can you do? So when Mike came to me, what about pastoral care? This is what I'm thinking. What does it do? Well, there's probably, I don't know how many studies, but I've extracted that generally you can either give people insight, like talking, or you can actually do it, or we exercise control. This is a classic. You can read that. This is a high-end nursing home somewhere in the Boston area. Double line cooperation from the house manager. And gathered up people on one floor or another. And in the speech, one group was given responsibility, enhanced responsibility. Plus they gave them a plan. Yeah, I'm okay. I don't, they're not, I'm doing.
Sit down.
Okay. I do. Just 3 minutes. They get 30 minutes. And the interesting part is I give them a little house plan and we'll have you take care of the plan for really important. Okay. So, just, okay. So, we have two groups of people. We had the staff. Staff on how much activity they showed, how much talking they did, and self-rated. These people who were given responsibility, who were not helped, given responsibility, were much better off. You think you want to help somebody, don't necessarily help, don't necessarily do that. Okay, this study was done a dozen times by nursing people around the country, but the one that I enjoyed was rather than giving a plan, they put a bird feeder outside their own window. And got the same result. Those given the bird feeder were better off than those without. It's the anecdotal. So we're back to anecdotes here. There's anecdotes. In general, another one. One guy became a farmer. The only difference is, what's the cause? My choice, you're doing it for me. So, I think any medical person will tell you, you want to make the responsibility for the person as early as you can, as well as you can. This is done with my colleague and I, college kids. The 2 and 12 groups didn't differ on the general quality of their life. But we also asked them in the intervening period how much negative events have been happening in their life. Lots of. So kids who have been having a number of negative experiences, if they've been very active and very engaged in positive activities, we're better off. So in this general sense, everything I've said today, control can be a stress factor or dog. It's daily negative events. You have a sense you're in control. This is a much more thorough viewing project. We got surveyed about 50 volunteers. In this town, people you can't imagine how skilled they are. They became our trained therapists to meet with our participants for 4 segments, each one lasting 2 weeks. During the 2 weeks, they reviewed lists of events and focused on how many choices they made daily. And they spent 2 weeks doing happiness things. They spent 2 weeks coping with negative things. And the last week, balancing comprehensive program, focusing on control. So we made their lives better, but we tended to fade back to where they had been. So we would suggest if you're doing treatments, use booster shots, repeat it, boost them up. You go to about 7. See, we have basically 3 boxes. Or 2 boxes. Positive things, positive things, negative things. You have control of the environment does. And then we broke those down to subcategories. So it's a very thoroughgoing survey where their lives happen. And they've got a 5-minute automated phone call in the morning before the day starts. Okay, today we want you to do, try to make some effort. And then it goes on for a few days. Then try to do that. So we're raising awareness and giving guidance about the kind of life they're leading. Once again, these are all control perspective. This takes a lot of cooperation on their part, but they do have to answer the phone and then answer questionnaires. Okay. Comparison group. Everything for 27 days. They're given hints about things. So it keeps things constant. We're all getting phone calls daily. but the content is different, and the content is mastery based. Yeah.
Are you available?
Oh, okay, well, just to prove that there's something there. Okay, well, these are, once again, nitty gritty. We ask them a set of questions. If they tell free, it's a health question for people who've been through what I just talked about, 30 to 27 days of that. Okay, graphs. We got the graphs. This is their percent of self-rating of how healthy they felt during the post. Solid line is the people that got treatment. They felt better compared to a comparison group that didn't do anything. So their health has improved, having been through what we did. Right? How about your mental health? Once again, experimental group. Well, and for some reason, comparison group plummeted. We have no idea why. Wasn't part of our treatment. But whatever it was, it didn't affect our subject. Buffering, we don't know. Every study leads to studies. Okay, this is a standard MHI, mental health inventory, depression scale, universal, everybody knows the scale. The first data points of the two groups are an average of many days as a baseline. So it's going to go to 10.2, and you see there's a lot of fluctuation. But no, not necessarily. The comparison group, the days like days pretty flat. There's no reason why they wouldn't. But our subjects started showing the effect that it obtained for a long period of time. So it counteracts depression, which is a national crisis. Too confusing? Okay. But once again, there's a fading of effect. A long-term follow-up showed that they kind of collapsed again. So once again, we're going to repeat it, or give them the power, repeat it. One more. So this is a caution, not a specific, a cautionary. Well, this is what it shows. So it's just a genius. We used this college class to go out to nursing homes, visiting under one of four conditions. We asked the person, where would you like to meet? We'll have the students come meet with you on that day. The comparison group was matched. So whatever this person said, somebody else got the same time. And those both of them are predicted. That was predicted. So I said, they could tell what was going on. And random, and there's no treatment. So the key is, who sets up the meeting? You, somebody else. Both the top two groups are better off. So contacting them helps. But the end of the semester, the students went back to their classes. The participants had been pre-warned. Like, you know, this is just going to be going on this semester. So they knew it was going to end. And it did. But when that happened, their mental health plummeted. They were wiped out by no longer having the meetings. So caution, if you're going to get into this, make sure you have follow-up, warnings, boundaries, so the participants aren't abandoned. Schultz wrote a second paper on just that issue, the ethics of doing this research. Yeah, that's why Schultz wrote a thing saying, look what we did. He was in a row. Say so. So, but everybody was warned about it. But he says, you just have to be cautious about it. The word abandonment means loss of control. Okay. I said, we're now cleaning up now. Everything else. I said there was going to be three outrageous assertions. Let's have you respond to them. Somebody say something. Somebody says, I'm going to get into a little more from that. Don't give me that. Don't tell me that. What's wrong with that sentence? What's wrong with that sentence?
It makes me want to. Like you're telling me not to do something,
Because you're trying to go into.
Exactly. You cannot go on by saying, I'm going to leave alone. What can you do? Control your eating. You can control what you have no control over your body and talent. I'm about the Hindu monks. Go to sleep. You cannot control your metabolism. Don't try. But you can control what you eat. You're in complete control. And you control what exercise you do. You have all kind of control. But to focus on what you have to eat and power. Don't do that. Don't count your pounds. Count what you're eating. It will work. It will. Okay. Did I irritate anybody? We'll try again. Why do you want to say that? You can't control your emotions. Why do people buy a lottery ticket? They want to win.
Financial freedom.
That's right. You can't control it. It can't make you happy. There's a huge body of literature on lottery winners. As I said earlier, economists are interested in that. Winning the lottery does not make you happier. It solves your financial problem. It doesn't make you happy. What was the first part you said?
Are you saying when they buy the lottery, God will change the situation at the moment?
National organization. Here's the worst one. Ready? See? We want to help. Look for the extreme. We want to help people. Don't intrude.